Tim, you do a lot of Big 12 games, and your thoughts on two running backs. One, a guy the Saints have to play against twice a year, Bijan Robinson, who I think right now, barring an injury, he's going to have the biggest impact of any rookie that hits the NFL this year. Now, he's that good, not only as a runner, but as a receiver. And also,
I was going to say maybe more in receiving yards than rushing yards.
Yeah, and he's, I don't know if you saw it, but he was working out with Jamar Chase, learning how to run routes. I mean, okay, it's less than a week after the draft, and he's out there working with Jamar. And I love workers and guys that bust their butt in life. And Bijan's that. Also, Kendre Miller from TCU. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was talking to Sonny last year, and I said, man, what's going to happen at running back? He's like, Mike, Zach went on. He went to Ole Miss. But we got a guy here. He's going to be a big player. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, Kendre Miller. He said, man, keep an eye on him. He said, he didn't play a lot. But he said, Mike, he's a power runner, but he's got that gear he can slick into in space. And he said, you don't hear the gears clicking. And he's just away from people. You did those games. Talk a little bit about Bijan and also Kendre.
Well, I had Bijan several times, and I had Kendre a number of times, including the first game that they had with Kansas State that they won, and he participated in that game. Of course, he got hurt and was not able to be a factor in the championship game, which I thought really put TCU behind the eight ball. They really needed him because they were going to have to run the ball and be successful running the ball. Some, not a lot, but some. They needed to be able to get 140, 150 yards if they could on the ground, and that meant from time to time being able to get some tough yards, and Kendre was the guy that could get you those tough yards. But as you mentioned, Sonny said, he does have that second gear. He gets to the second level, and his speed will really surprise you. That breakaway capability is there. Now, he needs to get to that second level, okay, and he can with yards after contact because he's going to be running the football in places where he will get some contact. But because he played for Sonny, that's another thing the Saints will love. He does know how to catch the ball, okay? And he was also very good with pass protection. I mean, that was an area where they really missed him in that last game. Now, look, they played a really tough game with Michigan, and they did it more in the air than they did on the ground. But Kendre is a guy that could, give them the kind of running game that you had to respect as a defense. They didn't have that against Georgia. I don't think it would have made a difference in whether they won the game. I do think it made a difference in it being a blowout the way it was. Now, to Bijan, listen, the biggest problem Bijan Robinson had was not getting enough touches. I don't know. Listen, I love Steve Sarkisian. I think he's a wonderful guy. But why he did not give the ball more to Bijan Robinson, I'll never understand. It was almost like an embarrassment of riches, and Bijan just didn't get the ball enough. There were times when, Spencer and I would look at each other in the booth like, hey, just give it to number 5. Let the guy go. He is a lot like Reggie Bush, and that is who he idolized, coming up. That's why he wore the number. And he's that kind of back. The major difference, though, I think, with Reggie was when he came in, even Sean Payton thought that he was not an every down back, that he wanted to have him more in certain groupings offensively. And, of course, he wound up having to go someplace else to get the number of carries that he wanted. Bijan Robinson is an every down back.
Yep.
And I think everybody knows that, except maybe Steve Sarkisian, because he did not give him the football nearly enough. Had he, I think Texas would have won a lot more football games the last couple of years.